Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word, that they all may be one as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me. And the glory which you gave me I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them, and you in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that you have sent me, and I have loved them as you have loved me. Ephesians 5th chapter, verse 11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Boom! Shakalaka. This is the blasphemy, goat of the Satanists, an inverted star. Look to your right. It's the GOP, elephant. Look at the stars. They are inverted, just like the goat of the Satanists. But they call the Democrats demons. This is the quote by the late Senator Barry Goldwater. Mark my word, if and when these preachers get control of the Republican Party, and they're sure trying to do so, it's going to be a terrible damn problem. Frankly, these people frighten me. Politics and governing demand compromise, but these Christians believe they are acting in the name of God, so they can't and won't compromise. I know. I've tried to deal with them. Boom! Shakalaka. On September 21st, 2016, members of the clergy lay hands and pray over Donald Trump at the New Spirit Revival Center in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. However, in 1 Timothy 5th chapter, verse 22, lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins. Keep thyself pure. Can anyone actually believe that someone stated truth isn't truth?
Having him testify so that he gets trapped into perjury. And when you tell me that, he should testify because he's going to tell the truth and he shouldn't worry, well, that's so silly because it's somebody's version of the truth, not the truth. He didn't have a conversation
truth is
about...
truth. I don't mean to go like...
No, it isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
Racism was birthed in Southern white churches.
Cross, still brilliant. All the troubled history failed to quench its hallowed flame. Let me say that the cross is an inspiration, a sign of the Christian religion, a symbol of faith, hope, and love. We do not burn but light the cross to signify that Christ is the light of the world.
White power! White power!
White power!
White power! White power!
I did a town hall radio meeting in Birmingham, Alabama, because I wanted to hear what the people had to say. It all started in Alabama with Dr. King, and after speaking to the people of Jefferson County, there is no doubt racism is alive and well in the South, and I think it's growing. This is what an Alabama public school teacher came to the microphone and said.
I have been a part of public education since 1970, when the schools were first integrated. I see more hatred in the South now than I ever saw in 1970, and I tell you why. It's being preached in the pulpits. It's in the white churches. They are teaching people that if you vote anything but Republican, you're going to hell pretty much.
In 1973, the late Paul Weyrich created the moral majority. He was the engineer that initiated America's evangelical political crusading, beginning at the late Jerry Falwell's institution. He was basically searching for a certain profile to transform and then rise up an earthly king.
By politicians.
We are talking about Christianizing America. We are talking about simply spreading the gospel in a political context. And therefore, you have to be able to put things in, if you will, simplistic, polemical terms. Ultimately, everything can be reduced to right and wrong. Everything.
How many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome? Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
I'm to the place right now, if you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. You can get out, you baby butchering election thief. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation. Bunch of devils. I'm sick of it. They want to talk about the insurrection. Let me tell you something. You ain't seen an insurrection yet. You keep on pushing our buttons, you low-down sorry compromisers. You God-hating communist America. You'll find out what an insurrection is, because we ain't playing your garbage. We ain't playing your mess. My Bible says that the church of the living God is an institution, that the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And the Bible says that we'll take it by force. That's what the Bible says.
Some liberal somewhere is going to say that sounds awful. Too bad. Get mad at me if you want to. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it. It's not a matter of vengeance. It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful. It's a matter of necessity. We have wicked people doing wicked things, torturing and murdering and raping. It's time to call out those guys in green and go have them handle, or those boys in blue and have them go handle it.
Bowing down to them. What you're going to see by 2024 when Trump gets into office is a bunch of folk bowing down to us. Y'all better get ready. Somebody say, get ready. They're about to bow to the crown of glory. They're about to bow to your majesty. Oh, look at your neighbor and say, your majesty. Oh, come on, look at them and say, your majesty. The crown of glory. And that's what they're trying to scare us with the fake news media. They're attacking the crown. America, British is not the crown only. America is the crown. I said America is the crown of glory. Hallelujah. So by 2024, when Trump gets back in office, there's going to be a lot of knee bowing. Oh, every knee shall bow. Oh, y'all not hearing me. Every tongue shall confess that America turned back to God, back to his glory. America.
He just shouted blasphemy. He just shouted blasphemy. The United States and the United Kingdom are not the crown of glory. Blasphemy means a profane speech or writing or action against God. Folks, it is stated, therefore I say to you, all kinds of sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven men. Whoever speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but whoever speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, neither in this world nor in the world to come. That is Matthew 12th chapter, verses 31 to 32. Moreover, in St. John 3rd chapter verse 17, for God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. In other words, Jesus did not come down here to be judge, jury, or executioner. So you evangelicals, get off the throne. It ain't no room. It ain't no room. But we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels to suffer death, crowned with glory and honor, so that he, by the grace of God, should experience death for everyone. Boom! Shakalaka. Lord, have mercy on their soul. This people draws near unto me with their mouth and honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. In book of Revelation 13 chapter verse 18. Here's wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This was taken by my cell phone on MSNBC March 16, 2016, when Trump was running for the presidency. This was the day after the Iowa caucus. Then I took a picture of this one later in the evening, MSNBC. This is Donald Trump's father. He was born Frederick Christ Trump. He died on 6/25/1999. Turn them nines upside down, you got 6, 6, 6. This is Fred's mom, Donald's grandmother, Elizabeth Christ. She died on 6/6/1966. There's enough sixes right there. Reverse the 1, 9. Then you have 6, 6, 6. Jared Kushner, Donald's son-in-law, owns a building at 666 Fifth Avenue in New York City. On February 2nd, 2018, House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes, Republican of California, a gangster for Trump, put together this highly controversial memo alleging that the FBI abused its surveillance tools. On that day, the Dow on the market drops 665.75, a 0.25 from 666. Bloomberg and NASDAQ and all media outlets declared 666. On the right, you can see the Dow Jones Index, where the day when it dropped, minus 666 points. Fox News is the advocate for Trump. The letter F is the 6th letter of the alphabet. O is the 15th letter. 1 plus 5 equals 6. X is the 24th letter. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Fox News equals 6, 6, 6. On the 21st of August, 2019, Wayne Allen Root, a conservative American author, radio host, and conspiracy theorist, called Trump the King of Israel and the second coming of God. Now, folks, the 21st of August was the 233rd day of the year. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 equals 18, equals 6 plus 6 plus 6.
Blind, deaf, and very dumb. Blind, deaf, and very dumb. Don't forget, I don't know if you haven't watched the show, I happen to be Jewish by birth, and 75% of all Jews vote Democrat, and they don't like Trump. And this is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world, not just America. Trump's the best president for Israel in the history of the world, and the Jewish people love him like he is the king of Israel. They love him like he is the second coming of God.
Then on the next day, August 22nd, Trump declared that he is the chosen one. It states in the book of Matthew, 24th chapter, verse 5, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many."
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it.
Exclusive new reporting on that front. NBC News is reporting that lawyers working to reunite families under the Trump administration's child separation policy cannot find the parents of some 666 migrant children separated from their parents at the border. That is more children than we previously were told by the government, whose parents have not been located. Let's bring into this my colleague, NBC's Jacob Soboroff. Jacob, tell me what you're learning today.
Hey, Nicole. So last month, of course, we brought to everyone the news from a court filing that the lawyers searching for parents of separated children could not find 545 parents associated with children separated by the Trump administration. It turns out that number is actually far greater than we had initially thought. You just said it, 666 children whose parents were taken from them. They are unable to locate the parents of those children. And on top of that, according to a source familiar with this data, 1/3 of those children at the time of their separation were, and it's almost hard to say, babies and toddlers, preschoolers at that time, under 5 years old. And again, we have talked about this at this point throughout the duration of the Trump administration for the last 3 years. Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, Health and Human Services. There were career officials in all these departments that warned their Trump-appointed superiors that this was going to be the exact scenario we would find ourselves in. And today, again, we find out it is even worse than we previously thought.
Wait, so 230 of the separated children were babies and toddlers. Where are they right now?
We don't know for sure.
1 month into the Trump presidency, we had our first discussion of the president's mental health on this program. with psychologist John Gartner and former professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, Lance Dotis.
If we could construct a psychiatric Frankenstein monster, we could not create a leader more dangerously mentally ill than Donald Trump. He's a paranoid, psychopathic narcissist who's divorced from reality and lashes out impulsively at his imagined enemies.
He lies because of his sociopathic tendencies that Dr. Gartner was talking about, that he lies in the way anybody who scams people does, that he's trying to sell an idea or a product by telling you something that's untrue. There's that lying. There's also the kind of lying he has that is, in a way, more serious, that he has a loose grip on reality.
If he was a paranoid schizophrenic and he was wearing a tinfoil hat, then he wouldn't be elected president. But he's just sane enough, as it were, to pass, but actually detached from reality, as Dr. Dotis said, so that what is real is fluid. It's totally malleable according to his personality disorder.
And joining our discussion now, once again, is Dr. Lance Dotis, a former assistant professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School and an analyst at the Boston Psychoanalytic Society and Institute. Dr. Dotis, thank you very much for joining us once again.
My pleasure.
You told us in 2017 that it was going to get worse. It will. Your words will only become worse. Is that what we're seeing this week?
Absolutely. Donald Trump, because he has a fundamental need to be all-powerful and all-loved, can't stand challenges. And the nature of democracy is that it challenges people. We have more than one opinion. So the more, it was predictable that once he got into a position where people would challenge him, there are two parties, he would become more unhinged. In the interview today, for example, on the South Lawn of the White House, he showed that. As you watched him respond to people, the more they challenged him, the more he ranted. He stopped responding to the questions, and instead he started to talk about how people were agents of fake news. He said that they would go out of business soon. Basically, that they would die. That NBC and the New York Times would be dead within 6 years. This is the same kind of thing that he did when he was a candidate and when he suggested that someone protesting at his campaign rally be taken out and beaten up. He can't stand anything that disagrees with him, and the more you challenge him, the more unhinged he becomes, the more paranoid, and the more violent, potentially.
Today, he's saying that the reason he's canceling his trip to Denmark is that the prime minister used the word absurd to describe Donald Trump's idea. And he kept saying repeatedly in that talk to reporters you're talking about today, repeatedly saying that was such a nasty word, it was such a bad word to use, the word absurd. I want to hold that in our minds when we consider Donald Trump's relationship to Kim Jong-un, who he used to call Rocket Man. That's what Donald Trump used to call him. And at the same time that he was calling him Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un was calling him the mentally deranged U.S. dotard. And then eventually, after all of that, Doctor, Donald Trump then eventually turned into the guy who loves Kim Jong-un. Let's listen to that part of it.
And then we fell in love. Okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love.
What are we seeing in all of that? He cancels a trip because of the word absurd. The guy who calls him a mentally deranged U.S. dotard is someone he then eventually falls in love with?
Well, he doesn't really love anyone except himself. That's not a slur. That's a psychological fact. People like him are about him. And we see this not only with the North Korean leader, but with all the people he surrounded himself for most of his life who are now recognized as criminals. As long as they stay loyal to him, he loves them. As soon as they challenge him, as soon as they disagree, then they're terrible people, which he has said about each of these folks. So, of course, it means nothing. He never loved him. He only used him. And if he's not useful to him, then he stops loving him.
That's part of the essential emptiness of Donald Trump. He doesn't have real relationships with people. Maybe his personal family, we don't know about that. But you can see that he discards anyone who doesn't fit his personal needs, which makes him unable to really relate to our allies as well as our enemies.
And Doctor, we need your analysis of a president who stands up and compares himself to a king, refers to himself as King of the Jews, refers to himself in a godlike way, turns to the heavens today and calls himself the chosen one. What is that?
Well, it's obviously grandiosity, but I want to make clear that there are a lot of grandiose people. There are a lot of people who are narcissistic. Donald Trump goes way beyond that. There is a fundamental way in which, as I said, he's empty. There's something fundamentally different about him from normal people. It's a psychotic-like state. The more you press him, the more you see how disorganized and empty he is, the more he flies into a disorganized rage. So, yeah. And by the way, in terms of being God, he also made several what you might call Freudian slips during the interview today. He kept mixing up who he was and who the country was. He said, I have the best economy. I, not the country. I defeated the caliphate. It's not just a slip of the tongue. He really doesn't get it. He thinks of himself as a dictator, and it's all him, and no one else really matters.
Of course. It's awful. And it leads me to believe that no lessons have been learned since the horrific coverage of the 2016 election. It leads me to believe that they're more interested in access than they are in journalism or journalistic ethics. And, you know, the fact that he's continuing to get away with making these broadsides without any follow-up, the follow-up question is, define Marxism, okay, right? And he needs to be confronted squarely with his racism. He's a racist. His comments aren't racially tinged. They're not racial, whatever that means. They're racist. He's a racist. He's endangering the lives of Black Americans every single day in this administration. Why are people continuing to tiptoe around this? And I'm sorry, you know, people, I guess, have to have respect for the office, but nobody has been more disrespectful to the office than Donald has been. So why should he be treated with respect? It's mind-blowing. We're done, because again, it's not just him. He's got his cronies in place, Mitch McConnell, Bill Barr, Mike Pompeo. They apparently want to turn this country into a theocracy. They want to have some version of apartheid here, in which the majority Democrats would be ruled by the minority, fascist Republicans. And I do believe that the American experiment would be over. We will have failed it. And I don't see how do we come back from this? Entirely sure we're going to survive 4 years because it's going to require an amount of patience, advocacy, and strength of purpose that we have not shown in the past. So vote, everybody vote.
I would say if I were in the Democratic Party, look, there's more of us than there are of them. We're right, they're wrong. We should walk with confidence. We should have some swagger. This is our country. And I think there's far too much, and I think there's a whole industrial journalism complex about this, trying to understand Trump voters. This whole phenomenon of writing about, the Trump voters in a diner in Ohio. And to me, it is largely an exercise of how to avoid writing that this is racist. And we have to come. It's sort of like assigning the greatest reporters in America to figure out, why do men go to strip clubs? Well, I think we know the answer. And there is this reluctance not to judge these people.
Right.
And this effort to try to understand them. And personally, I don't want to understand the guy standing in the Camp Auschwitz sweatshirt in the Capitol. I don't care. I don't care how a person got there. I just want the person not to run the country.
and to be held accountable for when they broke the law. And, you know, all of these stories that are written talk about, well, it's economic anxiety that drives Trumpism. It's utter bullshit. The only group that Trump carried economically, the only economic group that Trump carried in 2020 were those who make $100,000 a year or more. Mm. Look at the people who showed up at, you know, January 7th to storm the Capitol. They were middle class. They're the people who took private jets there. These were not, you know, this wasn't the French Revolution. These were, you know, a lot of military people. I mean, these were middle class people. And they weren't victims. And I think, you know, the thing that I go back to, okay, so why is it that the one group in America that really have every right to be called victims, who have been murdered, tortured, raped, laws passed to stop them from voting, which are African Americans, why is it they never stormed the Capitol? Why is it that they just kept working in the system? Why is it that they believed in America and still believe in America more than these people who were given everything, right? And it is a complete break in what it means, I think, to be an American. And when you look at people like in the House of Representatives, every Republican just voted to put someone third in line to the president who voted against certification of an election where 7.5 million people. And ultimately, that's about race. Where are the areas that they say that there are illegal votes? Atlanta, Fulton County, Detroit, Philadelphia. What do they have in common? They have a lot of black people.
Yes.
And it is really just an extension of Jim Crow politics. So they weren't as good as they used to be stopping these people from voting. So now they're trying to stop them from being counted. And it is just straight up racism, and it should be called as such. And I think one of our failures is the way that we kind of dance around this and don't call it for what it is.
On March 31st, 2016, George Papadopoulos joined candidate Trump as well as Senator Jeff Sessions and other campaign officials for a national security meeting at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. Papadopoulos stated that he could facilitate a foreign policy meeting between candidate Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. While some in the room rebuffed George's offer, Mr. Trump nodded with approval and deferred to Mr. Sessions, who appeared to like the idea and stated that the campaign should look into it. On March 3rd, 2017, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions concludes a news conference in which he recused himself from any current or future investigations into Russia ties to the Trump campaign. Fact checkers Glenn Kessler, Salvador Rizzo, and Mae Kelly of Washington Post counted a total of 30,573 false and misleading claims made by President Trump during his White House tenure. Now, most folks, we call them lies. This was on January 24, 2021 at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
But here at our convention, there will be no lies. We will honor the American people with the truth and nothing else.
You of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and bold not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and a father of it. St. John 8th chapter, verse 44.
You ever asked God for forgiveness? I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. Now, when I take, when we go in church and when I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. And I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed, okay? But, to me, that's important. I do that. But in terms of officially, I could say absolutely, and everybody, I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make it right.
In 1 Corinthians 11 chapter, verse 26 to 29, as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. Therefore, whoever eats this bread and drinks this cup of the Lord unworthily will be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. Let a man examine himself, and so eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks unworthily eats and drinks damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body.
Then we had so many overreaching regulations in our nation is because the church complied. The church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church.
During the Roman Empire, Jesus stated to Pontius Pilate, who was the judicial officer in the province of Judea, that, and I quote, his kingdom is not of this world, and if it was, then his servants would fight. That is confirmation that Jesus had no beef against the government, nor did he attempt to replace Emperor Tiberius. The Christian nationalists are seeking to establish a theocracy, and they are unyielding that they have no misunderstanding about the First Amendment. Dangerous. Thomas Jefferson's letter to a Baptist church in Danbury, Connecticut was written as, quote, wall of separation between church and state. The original text reads, I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. The phrase separation of church and state itself does not appear in the United States Constitution. Yet, we must adhere to, quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Therefore, the actions of this religious expansion verify that these evangelicals operate as equal to the Pharisees, which was one of the religious sects that contended against Jesus. It's great that they have zeal for God, yet their regime has shown nothing but disgust for people of color and the Constitution. And I repeat, their regime has shown nothing but disgust for people of color and the Constitution. Boom! Shakalaka! Exodus 32nd chapter, verses 1 through 3. Now when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered themselves together around Aaron and said to him, Come make us gods, which will go before us. As for this, Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. Second verse. Aaron said to them, Break off the gold earrings that are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people broke off the gold earrings that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. Then, boom, shakalaka, the golden calf. The golden calf. It also became a god of the Canaanites, whereas there was a furnace beneath where the parents sacrificed their firstborn child. Today, we call it abortion. It is also seated at the stock market. Boom! Shakalaka.
Donald Trump says.
Disgusted. Well, I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you like this guy. I think what you like about him, he appears to be strong when the rest of us are weak. He's a very successful businessman. He's going to make everything great. He's going to take all the problems of the world and put them in a box and make your life better. That's what he's selling. Here's what you're buying. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. I've been in the Air Force for 33 years. I retired this June.
Former President Trump, Fred Trump III, speaking out against his uncle in a new book. It's called All in the Family, The Trumps and How We Got This Way. And it alleges the former president used a racial slur and suggested disabled people should, quote, just die. The Trump campaign calls these claims disgusting lies, but his nephew says this is no political hit job. It's the full truth. Here's senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky.
It says the Trumps and how we got this way. What way? What's the Trump way?
Complex and sometimes cruel. And within every family, people know this, families are complicated. Every family has their crazy uncle. My Uncle Donald is atomic crazy. And he has put his mark on the family history.
Atomic crazy?
Yes.
What's that mean?
Means he does things that, even as much as I know him, when he's out there now, I sort of shudder and say, is this the same guy I knew? What's making him change? What got him this way? But that all being said, I've always had a good relationship, but he's done really horrific things to me, which some people will say, how could you still want to have a relationship with him? He's my uncle. He's family, and that means a lot.
After his uncle was elected president, Fred Trump says he saw an opportunity to advocate for the disabled.
I was in the Oval Office 12 times, and that was our mission, to advocate for people with complex disabilities. It culminated in May of 2020 in the Oval Office. Donald was there, and he was very gracious. Several other folks were there, including the group that we brought down. We dispersed. I was asked to go back and see Donald. He greeted me with his familiar, "Hey pal, how's it going?" We sat down for a bit, and he just came out with, these people, all the expenses, they should just die. He's talking about human beings who have complex issues, and the first thing he could say was, they should just die.
Fred claims this wasn't isolated, describing a phone call to alert his uncle the medical fund set up by the family for his son William was running low, a fund he says the former president consistently replenished.
A couple of years ago, I called him. I said, Donald, the fund's running out. And without hesitation, he said, your son doesn't recognize you. Let him die and move to Florida.
Were you surprised?
It's a great question. My response was, no, Donald, he does recognize me, and said, well, thanks, and hung up. Was I surprised? I don't think you could hear something like that and not be surprised. But that is what he has become. It's sad.
There's a chapter that you write about called the race card. What's that about?
I was about 10 years old, and I was at my grandparents' house, like I was a lot. And Donald, I could hear him screaming. And I went down to the driveway of my grandparents' house, and there was his white Eldorado convertible with 2 slashes, still remember it. And he had electrical tape, because the roof was black. And he used the N-word twice, just saying who he thought probably had done this.
You were 10 years old when these comments were allegedly uttered.
Right.
You sure you remember him that way?
Oh, absolutely.
He says he doesn't use the word.
Okay, he did twice that day.
You do write in the book about how people have labeled former President Trump a racist, and some people feel he is, some people say he's not, and you ask the question, is he a racist? You don't necessarily answer it.
Right.
Is he a racist?
he at times espouses things that people who I believe are racist espouses. That's the best I can answer that question.
Say more.
I don't believe he's a racist. I think that he uses people, whether they're black or they're whoever can help him, he will use them. And, you know, call it racist or not, I don't believe in that. He uses them as props. And when he gets what he needs out of them, votes, he'll cast them aside.
Again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm at Christians. I'm at Christians. I'm at Christians. I'm at Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Now, folks, pay attention. Had to come back here. Better screw your brain down. Got to screw your brain down. Pay attention. You got to repeat this. That is the Baphomet goat on the left. You have seen this once. Follow the yellow arrow up to the Republican star. It is inverted. Now, folks, the R-E in Republican is a prefix meaning back. And all that the Republican Party has proven is that they push back the public and party with tax cuts and cutting social benefits. That's what they're doing, folks. And you know it.
I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
I am the chosen one.
Now, folks, check this out. After God spoke to Moses from a burning bush, then Moses asked God, when I go to the people of Israel and tell them, the God of your father sent me to you, and they ask me, what is his name? What do I tell them? Folks, just look to your left on Exodus 3rd chapter verse 14. And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, so shall you say unto the children of Israel, I am has sent me unto you. Who is a liar but he that denies that Jesus is the Christ? He is the Antichrist that denies the Father and the Son. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, boy. Yours truly. What he had, 91 indictments? Yeah. Make America great again. Yeah. And the Apostle Paul says, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11 chapter verse 14. Boom. Shakalaka. In 1 John 2nd chapter verses 15 and 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. The world and its desires are passing away, but the one who does the will of God lives forever. Now, folks, world comes from the Greek word cosmos, meaning harmonious arrangement of people, places, and things, and everlasting time. Folks have world confused with earth. The Lord said the earth is mine and the fullness thereof. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God? Satan the devil has stated, in mine heart I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon a mountain of the congregation in the sides of the north. Folks, there's no congregation at the foot of God in heaven. The congregation is your place of worship. Satan's motivation is to instill perversion in your pastor at the pulpit. The result is the closing of church doors, calling the falling away. 2 John, verse 7 and 11. For many deceivers who do not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh have gone out into the world. Each one is a deceiver and an antichrist. Watch yourselves so that we do not lose those things for which we have worked, but that we receive a full reward. Whoever transgresses and does not remain in the teaching of Christ does not have God. Whoever remains in the teaching of Christ has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not receive him into your house, nor greet him. For whoever greets him takes part in his evil deeds. Take a good look at that picture, folks. Take a good look at that picture. I repeat, for whoever greets him takes part in his evil deeds. Boom! Shakalaka. Folks, God established a republic without a king and without a pope. Yeah, but now she is sick. Boom! Shakalaka.